I already called her.
Okay, that was for you, right? That was the girl you talked about.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They gave it to me. I'm like,
She called back here to try to get me or something.
she called customer service.
Oh, because she had my mobile number. So.
And they gave it. Then they gave the information. I looked at it. And go.
Okay, I left her a message.
Well, I had to read through it because it's always questionable when you start seeing federal government stuff. Then I realized, oh, this is the one Scott was working with.
Yeah.
Even if they pick up some of this ahead of time, we still have. Yeah, we had two right.
Yeah. Sorry. No, not that. So find your product. No, the product is the FirstLight. Oh, that should tell about it.
Isn't that a beautiful
Okay, I did that. All right, that's two.
desert sky?
It's so
It
pretty.
reminds me of Little Blair Valley in Anza Borrego Desert.
Open there, part says, so there's only one part. So go to the XS2.
Or Joshua Tree, you know, that's another one.
Because that sort of looks like a Joshua tree, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, add
Yeah, when I lived in California, I would go to Joshua Tree a lot for dark skies. But not as much as Anza Borrego Desert. You know, we had this nice little observing spot called the Little Blair Valley. It was awesome.
It's not. I will add that. You need to add it right now, or matter.
Hey, Annie.
Mhm.
Todd Amon says, man-made, more taxes is the answer.
What's man-made?
I don't know. We must have been talking about something. Book Davies says, for sure, Norm, Scott gives us a super show every day. Thanks, Book. That's nice, man. Jim's Astro says, hi, Norm, Tarek, and Mike. James, the astrophotographer, we haven't seen you in a long time. He says, hey, Jim, yes, work has been kicking my butt. Well, my first piece of advice, don't let work kick your butt. Just so you guys are aware of it, Cameron Gillis will not be on our program tonight. he had to put it off to next week. So we said, okay. Well, hello, everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. And I've got Annie Scarborough and Kent Marts with me today. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier during the pause before we started our programs, that Cameron Gillis will not be on with us today. He had some personal things to attend to, so he's just pushing it off 1 week. So we'll see him next week. So anyhow, the topic today is about light pollution. But before we get started, why don't we check in with Annie and find out what's going on with the Explore Alliance?
Hey, so I just want to kind of go over some stuff on the website. We've updated that calendar. We've also added the New Stars Up magazine is on there. So I just wanted to kind of
Skies
show
up.
Skies Up. It's the 3 cups of coffee I've had today. That's what my problem is.
In the
Not-
last 15 minutes.
Is it not enough coffee?
Oh, yes, not enough coffee. Always coffee. The more coffee, the better. Okay, so let me share my screen. Here. Okay, so obviously we're now doing Vixen products. We've already started getting some phone calls with that. So that's a great thing. It's a great thing. So we are very busy, but that's okay. That's a good thing. So first I want to remind everybody about the solar astrophotography contest. You're just going to Explore Alliance, then solar astrophotography contest.
Ooh, slow down.
Slow down. Okay, here, Kent.
I've had a lot of coffee.
Explore Alliance.
She never asked for a second cup of coffee at home, though.
No, never. Only ever have one. Solar astrophotography contest, and then you go. You just scroll down and click on the Explore Alliance membership. If you are not a member, you aren't able to enter this contest. So, and I've had a couple of times that I've had to give prizes to other people because they weren't members. So make sure you have your membership. But you can join here. And you don't have to be a platinum member. You can be a legacy member. As long as you're a member, you can enter the contest. So, and then you'll just click here to enter. It'll take you right there. And you'll scroll down and start entering all your information. You are only allowed to enter 2 pictures, and they're of the solar system. We did in the beginning started off as the sun, but we changed it up because we needed extra time. We needed to give our members extra time to be able to submit that stuff. And so, so anything within the solar system, is great. You get 2 entries, and we're going to run it till the end of October. So that gives you quite a few more weeks, to be able to enter that. Then I thought this was amazing, and Kent didn't know about it because I like to kind of play around on the website.
Sneaky. She was
I like
being
to play-
sneaky.
Secretive.
I like to play around on their website, but if you go Explore Alliance and go over to shop and go to the gift center, didn't even know this was here. I was like, yay. But we have a backpack that you can buy. That's an Explore Alliance backpack. I was like, that's amazing. You could support the Explore Alliance, and have a cool backpack to put your stuff in. So I thought that was really neat. And then of course we have other things on here, shirts, and there's an Explore Alliance t-shirt and gift cards and masks.
The last thing, the multifunctional.
This is
Those are
a
the
mask.
neck gaiters.
Yeah.
Those. Okay. I
Mhm.
thought that was like a big light bulb sticking out of a bunch of, galaxies flying around somebody's neck.
Well, if you're bald, it might look like this, but that's okay. Just put a beanie on your head and then it's all good.
I'm
We could
gonna
have
point
two.
out,
All good.
we're out of
What-
stock of both those items. So
Oh,
there's
look
that.
at-
Yes, it
that.
says out of stock.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
were
so to say-
popular. They were.
Yeah, they
they're
were
sold out.
popular. Yep. So they're sold out. But anyways, so that fixes that whole problem of looking like a light bulb. As
You remember when
Scott.
everybody was getting, we went from masks to like neck gaiters?
and
There's
then some
those kind of
places.
era.
Yeah, and then some places wouldn't allow you to have a neck gaiter. They would tell you to go get a real mask on.
Well, that's
So.
what I would tell them to do, but no one listens to me. So they bought all the neck gaiters.
Okay, and then there was one last thing. Now that I've got distracted by the net gator,
It's the coffee that's doing it.
It's the coffee. No, it's the coffee. Heath got me an extra cup of coffee. It was amazing. But I've started updating the calendar. You can click on these and it should have a link in it to watch it live. So it'll take you right to it. So we are working on it, becoming more interactive and
The most
up to date.
important thing about this calendar is that you can see it on mobile devices.
Yes.
Our other calendar, you really couldn't. It
Yeah.
would not. The web browser wouldn't display tables correctly. So,
Yeah.
but this works very nice, and
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
interactive. And
Okay, so the
Okay.
last thing I remember now is I wanted to show the Skies Up magazine. Skies Up
Okay.
magazine.
not stars
So-
up.
Not Stars Up, Skies Up magazine, because we
Skies
have
Up.
the new edition
You know
on
what?
here.
I'll tell you the story of Skies Up. Skies
Okay.
Up has been published for a few years already, but
Mhm.
it was Wendy Levy, David Levy's wife, who came up with the name of Skies Up. And so we liked it and it stuck.
Yeah. And it's amazing. So if you enter our astrophotography contest, even if you submit, every entry gets put into this magazine. So, and there are tons of articles
Well,
in here on things.
Not every, but everybody. So we're allowing 2 of, so if you enter and you give us a whole ton of images,
Yeah.
we're only going to put 2 images up
Yeah,
there.
there's 2 images. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yes, that's what I mean. But every entry gets put into the
Yeah.
every person gets their entry
Yes.
put in there.
That's true.
Yeah. So but yeah, we have amazing articles in here. There is one I was starting to read a little bit of it on solar imaging.
Oh, it's so rich with all these images of Saturn.
I
It's so
know.
cool.
It's just amazing. So, and I think this magazine is 60 pages long. So there's something in here that you definitely could find and learn. And,
Oh yeah, there's STEM learning stuff. So if you're an educator, you're an amateur astronomer, there's pro level articles in here written by researchers. So it's pretty good. But mostly it is aimed towards the amateur astronomy community, and with a leaning towards science and science outreach.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
I love
interactive.
those. Go back to the
Kids,
the
look
drawings
at
for
it. Yeah,
kids.
this
Isn't
is
that beautiful?
amazing. It's absolutely, it's so cool to see all that. And, uh, if you have children, I highly recommend that you take your kids out and just, even if it's starting off with the moon. I have a 4-year-old, and we started off with the moon. And last night we were in a place that was darker than we actually live in. I live in a Bortle 3, but it was even darker than that. And we were walking to the car, and I was like, "Hey, Daxton, look at the stars." And he looked up and he's like, "I can see space." So if you start talking about those things at a young age, it sparks an amazing interest in them. And it's so fun to see their excitement, and so I highly recommend, if you have kids, just even starting off with something small like the moon, or just talking about that for a while and going from there. They'll learn a lot.
Those kids can draw better than I can.
Is your stick figures, Kent?
More like balloon figures. Not good.
So I wanted to, this is interactive because I'm just skipping over into that. And so this magazine is actually interactive. It's all online. We do not mail it out. It is free to everybody. It's you just get on our website, click on it, and you can start reading it. But there's links and stuff in here that you can that'll take you to other things. But I did want to show, this is one of our photography contests that we just did. I think this 2 times ago. I think it's not been too long, but this is the smartphone. And so we had quite a few. You can go through and you can find everybody's name in there. For each picture.
Submission,
Submission. And what I think it talks about what they used and things like that. And it's amazing to go through and see.
Back up a second. That witch's face, that's with a smartphone?
Yeah. Is that with the smart? No.
Well, let's see here. It tells you right here.
No, it's an EOS Rebel.
Yeah, that was from the DSLR contest.
Yes, that's from the DSLR.
All of the images are from the DSLR
contest.
contest.
Wait just a minute.
Yeah.
So
those two pictures
are from, I don't know.
Not enough?
You should provide these things for me, Scott, before I get on a show.
No, we're winding you up. Okay.
This is really how I am. So this is what you get. Sorry if you laugh at me. I don't care. I'll laugh at myself. Okay. So anyways, so DSLR. Yes, this is DSLR. Thank you, Kent, for noticing that I made a mistake. I appreciate that.
No, I was stunned. I was going, golly.
Well, one day it's going to be like that,
But we do actually have on the website, we did a smartphone contest, and we have some pretty amazing pictures.
We do. You're right.
From that. So you can just get on here and read things and look at what we, what we're doing, and what, and things like that, and what others are doing, what we're learning. And it's just a great resource. So, to expand your own knowledge and things like that. So, but yeah.
Keep going. There's more pages. I mean,
there's 6. Well, I think this is the last one.
Yeah. See, those star maps are made by Will Tirian. If you guys don't know who Will Tirian is, he's probably the most prolific and famous celestial cartographer of all time. And he makes beautiful star maps.
Wow.
And they're extremely high precision. So that's a beautiful shot. Who did that one?
Andrew Freihofer. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. I really, really apologize.
So, Annie, show us where we can get this magazine online.
So
And we email out, when it goes out, we email out an announcement. The magazine's out, don't we?
Oh, yes, I believe so.
Trisha does that.
I can double check with Trisha, but I believe so. So let's go back to the homepage and I'll go really slow for you, Kent, okay?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
So-
Kent needs you to go real slow.
I haven't had coffee in 8 years, 9 years.
That's your
Got to go
problem.
slow.
That's your problem, Mr. Kent
That's your
Marts.
problem. Okay, so obviously Explore Scientific USA.com. You're going to go over to Explore Alliance, hover up, pull down, because obviously if you go to the left, you're going to go to the next tab and then go to Skies Up Magazine under events and experiences and just click on it. Then here is all of our editions. Is that how you say? I'm sorry.
Editions.
Editions. I'm sorry. I entered into the world of electronics.
Is
when
that what it is? I never knew it was
junior
called
high.
editions.
Yeah,
Editions.
it's the edition. EDITION.
See, we didn't have magazines when I got into my
When you
junior
grew
high
up,
teenage
They have
years.
magazines.
magazines didn't
No,
have magazines.
they had them, but we just didn't have them delivered to our house like something.
Wow.
Anyways, but you can click on these.
Protect the
And
child.
yes, I stayed in my room all my life and never
All
did
your
anything.
life. That's right. There's also something called a newspaper. Imagine that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They use
That's
paper
amazing.
and then they put news stuff on it. And
And what is the news?
I don't know.
I thought you got that from social media.
The news is, for the most part, a bunch of garbage. So there you go.
But this is not garbage, so come and
No,
click
it's
on
not.
it.
This is
Come
the
and
right.
click.
This is the
This
good
is
stuff.
This is the
That's
good
right.
stuff, and we have all these older editions that we have, and so go and read them and have fun with that. So
So,
Yeah. So Cesar Brolo is replying to us. I made a joke. Caesar said that they have like something like Bortle 9.7 or something like that, skies in Buenos Aires.
wow,
And I said, yeah, that's bright enough. That's enough light pollution to cook a chorizo, you know. Caesar and Maxie are always talking about barbecuing chorizos down there. You know, Argentina loves barbecued chorizos. And anyways, he was responding to that. He says something we can do with that amount of light. He says with the excess of electricity, I'm sure that we can cook thousands of choripanes, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Cesar. You'll have to.
or even what they are.
Yeah, they're probably good though. I'm sure they are. Very cool.
so
Well, great, Annie. Thank you.
yeah.
So anything else happening that they need to know about?
No, I'm gonna.
Events? We got some events.
We
coming
have,
up, right?
we do have some events coming up. We have, give me 2 seconds.
Choripanes are effectively bratwurst or hot dogs.
Ah,
They look like a bratwurst.
looks like a bratwurst. Okay.
Yes.
So starting in October, we're going to have, okay, there's 7 months, starting the first 2 weeks of October, the fourth, which is next Monday, the whole week is World Space Week. So that we have that going on. There's a link in there on the calendar, so you can click on that. It'll take you to their website. And then that goes.
We're
through-
looking to have the executive director of World Space Week to join us on one of our shows. Her name's Mariska Straw, and she has been involved with World Space Week for a number of years now. And so she was on our program last year talking about it. So,
That's cool.
but this year, World Space Week is about women in science, and that's very cool.
Yeah,
So-
that is really cool. And then on the 8th of October, I can't believe we're into October. Every time I look at the calendar, I'm like, really?
I know the whole
Um,
year just flew by.
It's gone by so quickly. On the 8th, we have the Heart of America Star Party. So we'll get that link. We'll get a link set up for that as well. And then on the 9th, we'll
Heart of
have the,
America Star Party is in Missouri, and I'm giving a talk via Zoom, and we're going to try to link into that talk and broadcast it live.
yeah,
for
that'll be
that
awesome.
moment. So we'll get you timing and all the rest of it for that.
And then on Saturday, the 9th, the International Observe the Moon night. It's the International Observe the Moon kickoff, night of kickoff.
Right.
And so we'll also get, I don't have the link on there for that yet, but we'll have that on there as well. And then, then we get into the next week and it's, we're back to the regular scheduling and then I think we have a couple more things at the end. The Astronomical League Live number 9 is on October 15th. So we'll have that. And so, but we'll continue. I'll continue to update the calendar, and we will, so everybody can see that and try to get those links put in there. And so I told Scott the other day, I'm like, I love this calendar. It's so great. It's so great for everybody just to be able to get to where they need to be, and it's just easier to see and view and know what's going on. So it's good. It's good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have.
That's it?
Just that little bit of information.
Actually, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. So,
Actually, obviously, I
Annie,
wanted to
thank
come on
you.
and do a blooper reel, obviously, with Kent, because
what if everything we say is a blooper?
that would be amazing. I think
Then
last
we'll have to have a reel of just where we are actually saying stuff that we're supposed to say.
yeah.
Wouldn't be as funny, but it might be weird, in fact.
No one would know.
No
They
one
couldn't
would
figure it
know.
out. They're like,
No one
what?
would know.
They actually said something.
That
That's
show is
cool.
strange.
Well, you can tell we're having fun. I'm teasing Annie and Kent and anybody else I can tease right now. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I don't take anything seriously anyways. If you take everything seriously, then you got problems.
You got problems. True.
So
True.
laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah, that's right. Usually you can tell if Scott Roberts is teasing you because his lips are moving. Okay. So.
I have to say that is absolutely true. I can't tell you how many times I walked into his office. He's like, no. I'm like, what?
The scary part is when he doesn't say anything. That's the frightening period.
Well, see, that is the CEO of Nike. That's his technique. So what happens is his senior executive staff will come in with something that they need a decision on, and this dude often just says nothing during the entire meeting. Just sits there and looks at him, and then what they'll say is, "Well, we take it by, your silence that you mean yes, and we're going to go ahead and do it." And so that's part of the just do it program.
Is that legit? You're being
That's
serious?
legit. That's
Oh,
legit. Yeah, that
that's
was
crazy.
an article. What's that guy's name? I forget his name.
That sounds like a Fast Company article or something like that. That Fast Company magazine.
Yeah, something like that.
No, we talked to that guy. We looked up his
CEO of Nike. I forget. Well, right now it's John Donahoe, but that's not him. How about founder? Oh, Phil Knight. That's who it was. Yeah. So Phil Knight, I guess, is also, brilliant, but a little eccentric. So there you go.
Hey, being a little eccentric is okay, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think we all are in some sort of way. So
That's right. Especially after all that coffee you had. So
I haven't had enough.
I've been trying to get Heath to bring you some. I've been texting him, hurry, take Annie some coffee. She needs it. But
she's almost finished with her last cup.
Okay.
apparently he doesn't have his phone with it.
He doesn't
has
even have his
coffee.
coffee set up. So here at Explore Scientific, Heath is the go-to coffee guy, and he has a little lab
he's
set
like-
up. Yeah, he's got a little lab
He
set
is
up.
a
It's the
coffee
whole deal.
snob. He is. He's a coffee snob. So if you've heard of coffee snobs, there's a picture of Heath as the poster boy. Okay, so
He has this little thing and it's pour over French press sort of
Mhm.
thing. And he measures that the temperature, the water temperature has to be exactly thermometer right. And you know,
it's a
the moon
science.
the moon has to be in the house of Aquarius and all.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we are at Explore Scientific, so why wouldn't your coffee be a science experiment? I mean, it needs to be, right?
You know, if you leave coffee in
I
the
have seen
refrigerator
many
long-
times in the bottom of my coffee cup, it's
That's where I
been
was
out for a
going.
few days, science experiments growing in
Absolutely.
there. So
You know, you wouldn't think that coffee would have any nutrition because it's just, but there clearly is stuff in there that something likes to grow on.
something like to
Uh-huh.
grow on.
There's
That's right.
something in
And
there.
that means that it's probably already there. It just hasn't multiplied very much.
Oh my gosh, the
Microscope.
conversation went way farther than it
We need to
needed
put that under a microscope, Scott.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Oh,
Awesome
yeah.
under a microscope.
That's right. We're going to have Annie just leave her cup out for one day, and then I'll do like a little sample and break out my microscope that I haven't done for a while, and we'll do a little series of what can hide in your coffee.
And I've got
Why
these
does it have to be my cup?
Why not?
I don't know.
There's,
I think
there's Ken's coffee cup. It's now flat.
No, this is well, it looked like coffee. This came out of my stock tank that I had at the
What
farm.
is that? What are those?
I remember I brought it in. It was teeming with life.
Oh,
And
it
it's-
was. Good
And
Lord.
it sat on your
Yeah.
desk and it dried out. It's probably been dried out for what, a year and a half now.
So
and,
let's pour some water in it and see if anything comes back to life.
That's what my plan
comes
is.
back to
Live on a microscope. Put a little water in it and see what
Microscope.
happens.
it-
Microscope.
it's still teeming with life, just a different kind of life right now.
I don't think there's much life going on in there right now.
You never
it-
know.
You never know.
It's the proverbial
Yeah.
bone dry in there.
Hmm.
But that'll be fun. Put some on. See if there's anything moving in there.
See if anything moves. That's
Drop
right.
a little drop of water on it and see what happens. That'd be a cool experiment.
So Mike Wiesner wants to know, can tardigrades survive in coffee? Might be a good test.
I've heard they taste like shrimp if you put them in your coffee. It'll be
Really? Is that
sort
what
of
it is? Kind of
shrimp,
shrimpy taste?
shrimp tasted. Got to be shrimp tasted, like roly polies.
Jeff says he likes ridiculously strong coffee. Hmm
Remember that
Does
coffee?
I do
Does
like
it-
a nice cup of coffee. And if you like caffeine, here's a trick. Buy light roast coffee because dark roast doesn't have very much caffeine in it. All the caffeine gets cooked out. Okay. But light roast, that stuff will keep you up all night long. So
Remember
Is
that
it-
coffee that somebody sent us that Heath, his eyes about popped out
Oh
of his head.
gosh.
That stuff was awesome.
No, it wasn't.
It was great coffee.
I want to know if the
Ken
strong,
doesn't even like coffee, but he like that.
Oh
So-
no, I
Uh,
love coffee. I just had to quit drinking it.
I want to know if the coffee should be so strong that your spoon stands up in it.
Only on the equinox,
That's right.
like an egg. You can stand an egg, bounce an egg
Oh,
on
yeah.
the equinox.
Right. Hey, I got to say something, Annie.
Ooh.
The Orion Nebula that you have behind you is beautiful. Who made that image?
Chuck McEwen.
Did he? Very nice.
Yes, because I moved desks and I haven't moved my pictures yet.
Oh, well, it's very nice.
One day I'll be back in my own dining room with
Well,
my Explore Lines
and-
logo.
Annie, you're getting ready to start doing some astrophotography. You're talking about it, right? You're
Yes.
gonna be doing a journey. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
So
had
what's that journey like so far?
well, it hasn't began.
She's
Well, it's starting right now. You're talking about it.
She's
Okay.
mapping the route.
Yes, I'm mapping the route. Okay, so I have an old Canon Rebel XS.
Okay.
I can't remember if it has an eye on it or not. It's from 2008. That's how old it is. Anyways, it's been sitting in a closet. And the other day I thought, this is just sitting here. I need to do something with it. So I started talking to Tyler about what I could do with it. Of course, he's like, modify it. And I'm like, okay. And then Scott and Kent started talking to me and they're like, no. They said you need to just take what you currently own and start doing astrophotography and go from there. So my plan is this next week I will start doing astrophotography with this is what I have. I have a Canon Rebel XS. Then I have a travel Manfrotto, which is just a little a little Manfrotto. It's not very big.
A
And
little
then-
Manfrotto.
It's not very big, because I'm only like 5'2", so then that works out well for me. But anyways, so and then I have a telephoto lens that I have never used in my entire life. My background in photography is taking pictures of houses for realtors. So I've mainly been behind a camera with the wide angle lens and taking pictures of houses. And so this is going to be a new experience and a stretch for me. So my plan will be to start off with that, and then I'm eventually going to have it modified, and then I'll start sticking a telescope on it and going from there. So that's the plan.
So let's recognize some of the people that are watching today. We have Book Davies and Jim's Astro, and Tarek was on. Yeah, I think he's still on. Tarek was tired the other day, but then he got like revived and came back onto the chat, and I think he went back to sleep after that.
Tarek lives in UAE, so
yes, he does. Yeah, of course, it's
Yeah.
really late for him. Mike Wiesner was commenting on how dark the skies are in Borrego, California. There is a star party called Nightfall. I've been to it a couple of times. It is a really neat star party. It's held at a motel, and they changed the whole motel, red lights and everything for astronomers. It's very cool. Very cool. Jim's Astro is talking about he had a good night with his telescope. Brian Fanning is having a happy Wednesday. Yes, he is. We all are. It's great. And I mentioned earlier, James the astrophotographer is visiting us again, which is cool. Beatrice is with us. Beatrice wants to comment that if you start astrophotography, Annie, that's very addicting. So be careful,
Like coffee.
The coffee. Dennis Hess he's wondering why no one does anything about the light pollution issue. I hear a lot of talk and I never see any action. Dennis, we're going to talk about some of the problems, which there are many, okay? But there's also some gains too. And so Kent's going to talk about that. But it takes someone in their community, usually just one person, to make a difference, And so
Like Pekka. Like Pekka did.
Like Pekka, you fight that fight in your neighborhood, you don't wait for, people to become enlightened to the fact that they need dark skies. You have to go and fight it, and you have to fight it in your local government. You have to corral local support, and eventually you get it.
Enlightened to dark skies.
Yeah.
That's a term. We need to trademark that.
Trademark that right now. Okay. Let's see. And Martin Eastburn is with us. He says a book to consider, The Study of Variable Stars Using Small Telescopes, edited by John Percy. So he's giving the ISBN number and all of that, where you can get it from the University of Toronto. So that's very cool. Of course, then we had the coffee conversation, okay? And Mike Wiesner wanted to know if tardigrades can survive in coffee. Yeah, I think they can. I think they can actually stir the cream, okay, once you put them in there. So Jeff Wise likes ridiculously strong coffee. Jeff, he says his coffee melts the spoon right off, Annie. So that's strong. Beatrice says she is a tea drinker. Tea has more caffeine than coffee does, usually. She
Tea's
says,
good.
no coffee for me, or I will race around the chicken on sports shoes.
Tea is good. Tea is good. I love tea in the winter.
Yeah, but if you have green tea, that stuff has
Oh, yeah.
caffeine. It's
That
big
does.
time.
It does. Yeah.
Yep. And Caesar says at home, he grinds the coffee beans. Some days I drink mate. Okay, mate I think is pretty strong stuff. Maybe even addicting in itself, like coffee is. I don't know. Anyways, Kyle Bannister is watching. He says he lives 10 minutes outside of Philadelphia. and he battles light pollution every night. Well, we're going to give you some ideas on how you can also battle light pollution in your own community. But I'm going to turn this over to Kent because he's got a great program about light pollution and what's going on in that field.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Did it share?
It's starting to.
There it goes.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right, so light pollution. And I'm calling this light pollution awareness, this presentation. And it's built on, we started this discussion about it during our On the Wing birding broadcast last week when we were talking about how light pollution affects migrating birds in the spring and fall and how many birds it kills. So that got me thinking, okay, I'll talk about light pollution this week and sort of weave the two together. And when you say light pollution to people, most times they just sort of glaze over and, think you're a green tree hugging nut. How can light be pollution, And so light pollution is defined as we show here, effective artificial light, including sky glow, glare, light trespass, light clutter, decreased visibility at night, and energy waste. So let's talk about sky glow. That's the one that affects astronomers the most, probably. It's because light shining up in the sky makes the air glow. And if the sky glow is brighter than the faint fuzzy you're trying to see, you can't see it because you can't see it. Glare is another form where you get side lighting into your eyes. Light trespass, this is an interesting one. If I play music really loud in my neighborhood, the police are going to come and the police are going to tell me to turn it down. And in 30 minutes, I turn it back up. They're going to show up again. And sooner or later, either I'm going to jail or I'm going to get a ticket because I don't have the right to blast music into my neighbors' yards. But if my neighbors set up big bright spotlights that shine into my backyard to, quote, be safe and prevent crime, there's nothing the police will do. But I can't bother them, but they can bother me, and it's hunky-dory. Light clutter, that's just overwhelming light everywhere that baffles and dazzles the eyes. Decreased visibility at night. The human eye, Mark 1 eyeball, thank you, Ed Gunther, is a miraculous thing that can see at night. But when you're driving along, we'll say, and you come around a corner and there's a big bright parking lot, what does your eye do? Well, your pupil gets smaller. So suddenly you can't see well anymore because there's too much light at night. It's a very hard concept to get. And I've showed it to people and they understand it when they see it. And energy waste. Now, I don't have the citation anymore. I've lost it, but the AEP website somewhere had and may still have. I need to find the citation again. It was along the lines of 100-watt light bulb left on 24 hours a day. Okay, back up. We've all said, kids, turn your lights off. You're wasting electricity. Every parent I know has said that. And in this talk, I give this talk multiple times per year, 10, 12 times a year. All the parents start nodding their heads and the kids laugh. And I said, okay, so we're talking about a 100-watt light bulb in your bedroom that you leave on all the time. It wastes electricity, right? And everybody, oh, yeah, it wastes electricity. Well, that light bulb uses 1 pound of prime grade Wyoming coal. So that's 365 pounds a year. So in 5 years, in 6 years, you've used 1 ton of coal with that light bulb. So that brings, in home to people.
You just leave it on.
Just leaving it on. You literally use a ton of coal. And, it's a quantifiable thing. It's not wasting electricity. You're wasting a pound of coal a day because of that. So moving on. Come on. My computer has been giving me fits all night. There we go. Light pollution awareness. There's been light pollution awareness before 1998, but because in 1998, proving there is an association for everything, the International Dark Sky Association formed as a nonprofit dedicated to protecting and preserving the nighttime environment, our heritage of dark skies through quality outdoor lighting. Okay, so this is not about no outdoor lighting. This is about the correct amount of lighting in the right place at the right time in the right amount. Now, there are very few instances where light shining up into the sky is ever required. One of the few would be to light the American flag in the United States. Otherwise, there's no reason, an airport beacon maybe to say, hey, here's the airport, but there's no real reason to shine light up in the sky. So I took this picture. This is in little old Bentonville, Arkansas. The light is still there. It doesn't work anymore. And I took these on a foggy night, and I have not manipulated these anyway, straight out of the camera as I took them and picked the ones that looked like what I could see. So you can clearly see that this light fixture is shining half of its light up into the sky, right? No doubt about it. Half the light's going up in the sky, serving absolutely no reason at all. So if they're happy with the amount of light on the ground, they're wasting half the electricity that light consumes to make the building secure. But that building also creates really harsh shadows that it's really easy to hide in. Here is another warehouse down the street. You can see where it says Sam's and Walmart trucks. Those are wall pack lights, just lights on the side of the building shining out onto the parking lot. And you can see, again, half the light is going up into the sky. But notice over on the left-hand side where the door is, so that green glow is.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how there's no light going up into the sky?
Nice.
That's because the light is up under an awning over the door. So that awning has effectively what's called a full cutoff shield, meaning no light goes out past the horizontal. And so all the light's going down on the ground, and you can see very well with it. And I've cut out a whole bunch of slides in my talk and modified it for this. This is a parking lot. You can see that the lights in the parking lot don't shine up. They shine down on the ground, big, nice puddles of light. Over behind it on the left over here, I think you can see my cursor probably. There are, and normally when I give this talk in Northwest Arkansas, I ask people, and somebody will eventually come up with it. There's a bunch of car parking lots over there, car lots. And this picture
Like
was
car
taken.
dealerships, right?
Car dealerships, yes, not car parking lots, car dealerships. And their light fixtures they actually have lenses on them that are designed to shine lights up into the sky. The fixtures themselves are good, except for these lenses that they have that shine light up into the sky. And I argue why all those parking lot lights need to be on when I took these pictures at midnight, right? So,
Right.
there needs to be lights in the parking lot for security. I understand they want the cars vandalized or stolen, but it doesn't have to be lit up like downtown Las Vegas, because it's about the right amount of light at the right time in the right place. And there's no reason to shine light up in the sky. All right. This is on Main Street in old downtown Bentonville. And I'll make a joke. That's an acorn light, beautiful, like a gas light lamp used to look like, an acorn light. The difference is
right.
that has a mercury or sodium vapor light bulb in it at 240 volts or whatever it is. And so it's a wee bit brighter than an old gas light candle fixture is. And as you can see, half the light is going up into the tree. And it's pretty and all, but there's no reason for that light to be up in the tree because, it's a redbud tree. You can tell how spindly it is. There's probably not going to be a criminal hiding up in that tree ready to drop down on unsuspecting pedestrians as they walk down the sidewalk on a lovely foggy evening. So back to this slide, right? Everybody out there can look at it clearly this is a bad light. Normally at this point, I would ask people, does everybody here agree that's a bad light? And everybody will say, yeah, that's a bad light. And I'll show a picture. Here's a picture of it, right? That is the evil light. So that's the light right there. So clearly that's a bad light fixture, right? Well, the reality is sometimes it's not about the light fixture, it's about the installation. That light fixture is actually a very well-designed fixture. It just happens because you can see if you turn the fixture horizontally, there's no light going out past the horizontal, right? If this light was installed correctly, and you notice it has a little hinge on it right here. It's designed to be adjustable. If that light was just tipped down and installed on the horizontal, that light fixture would be a great light fixture. It's just installed wrong. I've often thought about getting a 30 or 40 foot ladder, however long it is, one night and going up there with a wrench and loosening it and turning it down. And I never did it. Now it's burned out, or not working. So I haven't done it, but it is what it is. So moving along. So Lights Out Texas. Lights Out Texas is a program that started up a few years ago because why Texas? One of every 3 birds migrating through the U.S. in the spring, and one of every 4 birds migrating through the U.S. in the fall, which means 2 billion birds pass through Texas. Okay, so Arkansas is right up over here where the word birds is. Arkansas is right there. So this is important for everybody in the middle of the United States to understand. So why are there more birds migrating in the fall than in Texas than there were in the spring? Because all those birds that flew north in the spring to have babies had babies. And when they fly south, there's more birds than were flying north because those babies are going back to where they've never been before. So they just innately know in their massively powered tiny little bird brains when and where to migrate. Okay. I have a link here that's hard to see, bit.ly/3MB uppercase JUGZ. I should have changed that into something else. You see that, Scott?
Yeah, not very well. Let me
Yeah.
let me find the actual link and I'll just post it.
Yeah.
It is Lights Out Texas.
Lights Out Texas, yes. So this, I want to give credit to the photographer. Tim Wallace produced this image in Texas. Note that unlike other imagery depicting light pollution, his effort focused on adjusting such data for population, revealing areas that can create an outsized amount of light pollution per capita. You can see Dallas, you can see Houston, Beaumont. This is crazy down through here. You're like, what the, why? If anybody knows Texas, there's 2 things out there, diddly and squat. But what is out there is natural gas and oil. And all that light pollution right there are from oil rigs. As is, if you get up in here, out in that'd be the elbow of Texas, I guess, the edge of the panhandle, almost all that light out there is from oil rigs out in the middle of nowhere, creating massive light pollution. So, some people ask, well, why do birds fly into the buildings and get killed in the buildings? And I saw somebody ask on one page, well, wouldn't the birds be able to see the buildings and avoid them? The problem is the buildings become light traps because the birds are trying to migrate almost exclusively at night, where there should be no light, and that light confuses them. They can't see the stars. They get trapped in
It's not going to go through this rationalization process like, oh, there's a building, I should avoid that.
Yeah,
okay.
It just sees a bright light and flies towards it and runs into the building, right? It sees a reflection of the lights and runs into it. So it becomes a light trap, and the birds can't get out of it. They keep flying around and around and around and either die of exhaustion, because normally they start migrating a couple hours after sunset and then stop the migration long before sunrise, but they just keep flying and flying and flying. Either they run into the buildings or they get caught. So
Kent, I read the article about how Dallas had successfully passed, a
yeah,
lights out.
we're going there. I'll go
Okay,
there. Right.
all right.
Uh,
Well,
light, lights
go
out.
ahead.
Yeah, lights out Texas. Laura Bush, former first lady and founder of Texan by Nature, which is a nature organization. Uh, Personally called for all non-essential lights to be turned off. She asked for landscape lighting in trees and gardens to be turned off, and for everyone to close residential blinds at night to reduce outdoor lighting. So you see these pretty yards, landscape with all these lights going up in the trees. And during this was for during the bird migration period of September to October, typically, to turn those lights off. There's no need for them. Turn them off. And frankly, even better, I'll argue, put the lights up in the trees shining down on the ground. If you want to have some light in the trees to light up the trees, and put some light on the ground, put full cutoff shields up in the trees. Lights Out Dallas. On the 27th, the mayor, and I meant to put his name, declared September 27th through October the 17th, Lights Out Dallas. And as examples, Reunion Tower, which I think is the example here, will dim its lights to 25% of the normal brightness. The Omni Hotel will dim 50% from 10 to 11 p.m. and then dim it down to only 25% until 6 a.m., which is when most of the migration is occurring, and then increase it at 6 a.m. To 50%, 6 a.m. to sunrise, which I'm wondering, why not just leave it at 25%? I mean, people will still be able to see it, but there's a whole list of other businesses and towers and skyscrapers that are going to be involved. Put these as a couple of examples of what we're talking about.
Right. But,
Um,
someone commented in the chat, that nothing ever gets done about light pollution. Well, that's not true. Okay.
That's
And certainly Dallas being one of the biggest cities in the United States, and Texas being this corridor where, what, 2 billion? Is it a 2 billion
2 billion
birds?
birds, 2 billion birds.
2 billion birds that, fly through. So that is a huge benefit to wildlife, to human life as well. Ken hasn't. He should continue on with this series about talking about light pollution, because
Go ahead.
there is so much. Humans kind of think that they're not part of nature somehow. Okay, that there's nature and wildlife, and then there's us, and we're different somehow. That's not true. Okay, that is absolutely not true. We are as tied to all the benefits and disasters that any animal is in the world.
Yeah.
And so we're not immune to light pollution, and
You
it
know,
affects us in terrible ways. Okay.
if you don't get sleep, it affects you all sorts of terrible physical ways.
Yeah.
And if you have an iPhone, there's a setting on your iPhone called night shift, and you can set it to come on. And what it does is it turns the screen reddish, eliminating the blue light. And why? Because blue light keeps you awake at night. It keeps you awake. And so if you're watching your phone or your TV, all that blue light is causing you to not go to sleep, to have a harder time going to sleep. It stimulates your systems to stay awake. And so you're causing yourself to stay awake because you're looking at a lot of blue light. And we haven't even talked about LEDs. LEDs have a terrible impact on the environment. Yes, they save a massive amount of electricity.
Blue LEDs, which have become the most popular.
But the white LEDs are really blue LEDs. Our eye sees it.
Right.
But if you take a spectrum of it, there's a massive amount of blue in there. And people think, well, it's cheap, so I can have even brighter lights at night, which brighter lights at night create darker shadows, create the pupil response even more. But here's the cool thing. There's a couple of studies out there that universities did that they put LEDs on. They measured how many lightning bug flashes there were all over campus. And then in one area, they put up LEDs and then measured the response. It turns out that LEDs And everybody likes fireflies. Everybody in the room will raise their hand when I ask, who likes fireflies? Turns out that the LED lights interfere with the reproductive rate of fireflies. So no flashing fireflies, no baby fireflies. And baby fireflies are beetles that live in the ground and leaf duff around your house. And so if you spray pesticides around your house to kill 100 kinds of bugs, you're killing fireflies, which you love for your kids to go catch. So we are all intertwined in this web. You like fireflies, you have to do things in your yard to make fireflies feel happy and at home. So moving along, lights out Fort Worth. Dallas and Fort Worth are one metropolis. The city center complex will dim all non-essential lights. The Bank of America Tower and Wells Fargo Tower will dim their lights from September 5th to October 29th. Now, let's think about this. They admit these lights that they're dimming and turning off are non-essential lights. So why have them on? Interesting question. Okay. Boy, this is hard to read. Lights Out Austin, August 15th to November 30th. The biggest stretch I could find in the Lights Out Texas programs. Everybody's asked to turn off lights at night on unoccupied floors and in unused spaces. Close all curtains and blinds. Turn off exterior floodlights during the migration season. Opt for shielded lighting that directs lights downward. Try using task lighting at your workstation instead of overhead lights if you're working late. So this is a picture of downtown Austin. Austin's a cool city. It's a, San Antonio's, lots of cool cities in Texas, but like all big cities, lights are ubiquitous. And if you look at all these towers that are all lit up all over the place all night long, why? There's nobody there in most of these offices at night, right? So, and this is really busy reading. I realized it. So, lights out your town. Okay, so I killed the picture, so this is easier to read. Now's the time to
Well, the
start
light
talking.
pollution is wiping out all your text. So
Well, that's a good visual clutter. I mean, it's hard to see, and that's
Yeah.
a daytime picture. Okay, now's the time to start about lights out your town, and I'm sort of expanding lights out your town into a general light pollution discussion about getting the lights out all the time, because ultimately we can use this spring migration and fall migration to our advantage as astronomers. See, you have to find strange bedfellows who will become allies for you for their own reasons. You might not have a birder who gives a flip about looking at the stars, but they like to save birds. You might have somebody who has who moves into Northeast Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma passes marijuana grow or laws that businesses can grow marijuana. And your friend, this is a personal friend of mine, has 5 marijuana grow operations within 5 miles of his house, and they're all translucent greenhouses that are lit up all night long. Well, there's no reason for those greenhouses to be translucent, because there's a couple of marijuana grow operations here in Northwest Arkansas, and they're inside buildings. No light goes out of those buildings because they can control things easier if there's no lights. And so he can't see. He moved there for one of his reasons, to see the stars at night. 2 years later, he can't see the stars because of these grow operations for the sky globe. So we can find strange bedfellows like birders who will support lights out and show that lights being out doesn't affect your life, right? So how do you do it? You talk to community leaders, city planners, the mayor, city council members. If you know these people, talk to them. Now, the thing is, you can't go in with an emotional argument. You've got to go in with sane, logical, straightforward discussions.
You need
Data.
data.
Data, and look, Tucson, Arizona has had a light pollution ordinance since 1972. This is not a new thing. So you can go in with data, you can go with examples in your town, you can take them out at night and show them what's going on. Talk to your state legislators, talk to managers of large buildings, right? Talk to your neighbors, talk to yourself. If your porch lights are not full cutoff shield lights and shine light out, change your lights, right?
Right.
Think global, act local, change your lights, right? And then show your neighbors how my yard is still perfectly safe, but I'm not shining light out into the world now. You know, volunteer to give talks to service clubs, church groups, scouts, anyone who will listen to you. And, you know, present facts from birdcast.info if we're talking about the bird migration. If you're just talking about light pollution, there's all sorts of information down here. We'll give you the URL in a minute. Highlight the good PR they can gain from the efforts. You know, hey, here's this big building, but boy, they're really worried about the bird migration, right? And so they're willing to turn their lights off. And then you start saying, hey, if it didn't affect business September to end of November, you know, do you really need those lights on all night long, or maybe turn them down dimmer? If you live in a big city or close to some big towers, walk an early morning route around those brightly lit buildings collecting dead birds to show the local impact. And then post those pictures on social media. If the broadcast from last Thursday, I showed pictures of hundreds of dead birds picked up in one day around the World Trade Center complex. And she posts those, this is a woman doing it. She posts those pictures every day to show the impact that this has on migrating songbirds, mostly songbirds, okay? The other thing you can do is join a chapter of the International Dark Sky Association. The Dark Sky, the URL is www.dark.sky.org. Scott's going to put it up. www.darksky.org. Great organization. Also, and that is a wealth of discussions and guidance on how to approach your public officials. Okay, so lights out your town. One person can make a difference. Let that person
like
be
Pekka, like Pekka, one person.
like Pekka. And I'll use myself as an example. I guess I'm gonna look like I'm trying to dislocate my shoulder, pat myself on the back. But you know, years ago, I went to the city planner in Bentonville, Arkansas, and through the newspaper, I worked at the newspaper. I had known him sat through meetings with him, had conversations about everything city related. And one day I went by his office and dropped off some literature from the International Dark Sky Association about light pollution. And I could tell from the look, he thought I'd gone crazy. 6 months later, he called and said, hey, I'm going to email you something. And he emailed me a dark sky ordinance. Now, he didn't call it a dark sky ordinance because he knew the political ramifications of it. But he managed to write an ordinance that required only full cutoff shield lights to be installed in all new subdivisions and all commercial properties going forward. And then it got modified to include no light trespass. So the light that shines down on the ground has to stay on your property unless there's a public good, meaning basically lighting up a sidewalk along the edge of your property. You can make a difference. You know, it takes one person to be committed to something and to go after it. You know, light pollution, and here's what you're going to face. You're going to chase an evil feedback loop because the city people will say it's a county or a regional problem. The regional people will say it's a city problem or a state problem. The state people will say it's a local or a national problem. The national people say it's a local or state problem. So you just have to
pointing the
keep
finger at each other.
Yeah, because
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
me.
it's not me. That's not my responsibility. Talk to your city. The city can do it. Local control. And you know, light pollution is a national problem. All you have to do is go to light pollution. Hang on, we can stop sharing real quick. That is the end of my PowerPoint. But let's. There we go. real quick. Let me get my browser up. Let's save that. And let's go to lightpollutionmap.info. Lightpollutionmap.info.
While you're looking for that, part of the dialogue that motivated the state of Texas to really embrace this Lights Out Texas initiative was that they had looked at how birds affect the Texas economy. Okay,
Mhm.
and there is bird watching just in the state of Texas alone contributes $300 million to the Texas economy and employs over 4,000 people.
Right. Right.
Okay, so it's a big deal. It also benchmarks livability in cities. You see a bunch of birds, you think that you're in a healthier environment, which you actually are. Okay, so
Because of tree bathing, and you've talked about this. There's huge evidence and that shows that if you just go spend time around trees, you're
Yeah.
healthier.
yeah,
It's just you go hang out with trees, you're healthier. So, all right, here we go. I'm sharing the screen of off lightpollutionmap.info. Here's Europe. You can see that effectively there's no dark skies in Europe. Zero, none, maybe a few down here in Spain.
out in the ocean.
That's still not dark there. You can get up into to Sweden, where Pekka is. You get out in the there's some good dark skies in portions of Sweden and Norway. But Estonia, Latvia, Belarus, there's Chablinsk. You just go along and there's the Uzbekistan, India. Look at India, dear, my gosh. There's one little tiny patch of decently dark skies. China, the eastern half of China. It's just in Korea. Now, interestingly enough, look how dark North Korea is. Showing there's not a lot of stuff going on there. One thing that I found interesting getting over here, Afghanistan, and I've said this before. I've had a friend who called me dad, still does, called me and go, you kept the first night he was out in a fire base. He's like, oh my gosh, you can't see the sky because there's so many stars. Meaning it was just overwhelming. So light pollution is a global problem, right? Here's the United States. Here's Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. Here's the gas fields. Here's gas fields up in the Permian Basin and around Midland. Here's Houston. So this area, right in here, east of all those birds funnel down into Texas or fly across the Gulf to get down into Mexico and Central America. It's astounding how many birds there are. Act locally, think globally. Start with your lights. Start thinking, who do I know? Go to International Dark Sky Association, darksky.org. Spend some time on there. Educate yourself in the techniques that they talk about. Plant seeds of darkness in people's minds, because that's what it's going to take, is a bunch of people finally getting mobilized and realizing this is going on. We're going to talk a little bit more next week about some potential national lighting standards that are out there and ways to start talking about getting some things implemented in your communities. Just like there's a national building code and a national fire code and a national plumbing code, the United States needs to go to a national lighting code. And it's no different. It's not about freedom. Building code, if we had pure capitalism, pure freedom, you could build whatever you want to. There'd be no building inspection. but everybody agrees that there needs to be building inspections and codes that people build to. Same thing. It's about creating a national lighting code. Anyway, that was weird. I just went out of focus.
Go out of focus.
I looked up and it's like,
You're actually coming through the screen, so it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So anyway, that's a start. We'll talk about light pollution next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And if you have questions and
Yeah.
thoughts, send them
Hey,
to
Kent?
us. Yes,
Hey,
Miss
Kent?
Annie. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a link on our website where they can get a hold of any type of organization to see if they have advocates near them?
We need to do a light pollution page on our website to
I
help
know
people.
just the guy to write it.
Yep, Annie.
Kent.
Annie will build the page. I'll provide some
There you
content.
go. You
There
put
we
in the
go.
content.
Well,
Yeah.
I know we have the International Dark Sky on there right now, underneath our affiliate organization. So you can get
Yes,
on
we
there.
do.
It'll link you
So-
back to the International
so-
Dark Sky Association, so
so-
you can find advocates closer to you.
This issue, frankly, is a threat to our industry in many ways, because in the United States, 80% of the population, is probably more than that now, never sees the Milky Way. There's a generation or two that have never seen the Milky Way and don't know what it is and don't know what it looks like. I'm sure in Europe, most people in Europe can't see the Milky Way. And if they can see the Milky Way, they can see a feeling that it's up there, but they've never seen the Milky Way in all its glory from a dark side. Now, I'm not, I know we'll never get back to dark skies everywhere, where everybody can live in border one skies. But there's ways to reduce it to make it more tolerable and more livable, better health, better for the environment, uses less electricity. If you're using less electricity, that's better for the environment.
Better livability.
Better livability.
Neighborhoods that have beautiful dark skies have more expensive homes in them.
But which is not to say that, I know plenty of poor areas where they all have a night watcher in their backyard, because in rural areas, because part of the advertising campaign where rural electrics went in, they would give the first few people free street lights, free night watchers or security lights. Why? Because they wanted everybody else to see there was electricity and encourage people to get on the grid. It was about selling electricity. Street lights out in the rural areas were about selling electricity. There wasn't rampant crime in those rural areas before street lights.
No.
And if there were, the darkness helped you, take care of the problem and bury it, and no one saw it, right? So, not that I advocate vigilante justice, but hey. But lots to talk about. We're going to focus on light pollution for a few weeks. And if you have examples of your area of negative effects of light pollution or success
Or
stories,
positive things that have happened.
absolutely,
in the area.
success stories,
Yep.
they're out there. This Lights Out Texas is a great way to start conversations about, if you can get by without those lights for 3 weeks, why can't, or actually 6 or 8 or 10 weeks, why not the rest of the year? Did people complain your building wasn't bright enough? I suspect nobody will complain about it. And the weird thing about light pollution is, when you go to full cutoff shields, nobody notices. No one notices, because you don't notice something that's positive. You only notice the things that have negative impact. And once you see it, you can't unsee light pollution. I'll shut up now, because I know the sermon has gone on way too long.
Well, I do have to say, it really does affect a lot of things. I was in a couple of weekends ago, I was in a yard with my niece or my cousin, who is just a year older than my boy, and they were playing, and all of a sudden I saw lightning bugs, and I had not seen them in years. You know, and you don't realize that things like that just aren't there because there's so much light around, and then whenever you see them again, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's
Mhm.
been missing.
Tarek says he lives in Bortle 789. So he says he doesn't even know what is a Milky Way or how it looks.
Yep. And so Tarek needs to go out in the desert. He has the great ability. He lives in the UAE.
Yes.
All right, let's go back. And I don't know where Tarek lives in the UAE, but we'll look at the UAE real quick.
Beatrice says, in my region, the highest value I've measured with my square light, her light meter is 19.62. And then, yeah, that was a wow
Yeah.
factor for her.
Yeah. So here's the UAE.
Yeah, you've shown this before.
Yeah. You know, you've got to get out. There's really no place in the UAE to go. You're going to have to go out into the desert. Oh, that's not the empty quarter, but get out in the desert into Saudi Arabia, which, you know, might be not the easiest thing to do. But, you know, Tarek does not have the ability to go see a dark sky without a serious amount of travel, you know, or frankly, going into another country. Yeah. Which is a shame because Tariq, it's worth the effort. Once you see it, once you get out in a place where it's really dark and the sun goes down and you look up at the sky and you can't see the constellations because there are so many stars. And the Milky Way is like this bright rip across the sky. A river of milk across the sky. There's so many stars there that you can't see the stars. It's just all bright, you know, white light up there. It's once you see it, it's just hard to describe it, but it's something that
Yeah, it's like
because
seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time or seeing the ocean for the
the
first
ocean
time.
for the
I mean,
first
it's-
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or snow. You know, for people who have never seen snow before, you know, it's a wondrous, crazy thing. And you know, Tariq, you're interested in the sky. I encourage you to make that trip sometime to get out and to find some place that's darker. You know, it doesn't have to be dark, but you know, there's some places that have. Let me click on this spot. See where this is. There's some
AC from YouTube is saying my solution is to mandate infrared 900 nanometer city lighting and give away night goggles to the population.
actually, that's an interesting idea. So
It would be very dark.
south of Abu Dhabi, there's a spot that the dark
For
sky
us, anyway.
light pollution map.info shows as Bortle 2 skies. You know, so it's a little place called Abu Dhabi, not the big city of Abu Dhabi, but it's south of, looks like, what's that? Al Burayami, Al Ani. But anyway, between Istayeha and there's no name on that city, but probably gas wells. But there's depending on where you live, what's that distance? 100 kilometers. So if you live on the coast, 100, 200, 300 kilometers, you know, not a huge bad drive. So anyway, go do it, Tariq. And we want to hear a report back. We want you to go do it. And then we want to hear you report back. Might be fun to have you live because it's dark where you are now. It might be fun to have you on the show if you go do that and coordinate that and spend some time with you doing that. That might be quite fun, huh, Scott?
It would be cool. I don't know if he would have a internet connection out
Yeah.
there that dark.
True.
But Tariq could record a short video for us and
Yeah.
give his experience and response to being out under truly dark skies. That would be
Yeah.
awesome. And we can do that anywhere here in the country. So you guys
Sure.
are listening. If you get out to where it's dark, send in a short video clip. We're happy to run them. So,
Yep.
okay. Well, it is almost 5:30 here in Arkansas, and we are very happy that you guys watched our program today. We have more programs running. Of course, tomorrow we have Focus on Astrophotography, but we start a series of programs next week as we start to run into World Space Week and nights, the International Observe the Moon Night and Heart of America Star Party. Also, I know that the Okie-Tex Star Party is happening next week as well. I think it actually starts this weekend. And that is really some super dark skies out there. Black Mesa, you went out there recently, you took Tyler out there because he had never seen the Milky Way.
Correct.
And, what was Tyler's response?
He was lost. I mean,
Yeah.
he had heard enough descriptions from me that he was somewhat prepared, but that first night, you're just lost. It's like, and he's an astrophotographer.
Yeah.
He plate solves. He doesn't star hop. He doesn't do anything else. And we literally sat there and just used the telescope and went star to star and let him look visually. And he was shocked about what he could see that is completely invisible where he lives.
Right.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Being that we're talking about dark skies and light pollution, the next issue of Skies Up magazine, the theme is about light pollution and dark skies. So Marcelo Souza, who's one of the editors down in Brazil, has, and he's been on our programs to talk about this, but there's a whole park down in Brazil totally dedicated to dark skies and to night sky observing. So it's very cool. I think it's the first of its kind in South America, and so it's pretty awesome. Arkansas also has a website that I just posted about dark skies here. This is the quote unquote natural state, and what's more natural than super dark skies? So, all right, you guys have a good night. If it's clear where you are, get out there and do a little observing before you hit the pillow, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care and keep looking up.
Hi friends, Vivian White here from the NASA Night Sky Network, and I just want to invite you all to join us for the Global Moon Party happening October 9th from 3 p.m. on, that's Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to have such a blast. We have great folks from the International Observe the Moon Night joining us. We have NASA friends from the Visualization Studio and moon treks and all over the place. We have Icelandic poets to talk about the moon, presenting new work that they're doing. Space agencies from around the world will join us, and we hope you will too. Please get the word out. Let everyone you know who loves the moon know that we are kicking off the International Observe the Moon Night this October 9th. See you there.